Hey everyone, we're going to learn about St. John's Wort today. Hello there. Rachel with the Herbalist Garden, and we're going to talk about St. John's Wort, like I already said before. So, I didn't know as much about St. John's Wort as I thought I did, and I learned a lot. And I am going to share it with you guys, because that's what I do. That's what you're here for, right? To learn, because me is too. So St. John's Wort is known as Hypericum perforatum. So it is part of the Hypericum genus, and it has impressive health benefits. Ooh, my hair's not looking all that great. Oh well, whatever. Um, it has the ability to improve mood swings, alleviate anxiety, reduce the severity of PMS, ease addictive tendencies, regulate hormonal activity, protect against viral infections, reduce inflammation, and soothe the nervous system. That's a lot. But we're going to talk about each one. Well, most of them. And then even some more I found out. So, my disclaimer, I am an herbalist. I am not a doctor. And most of these, um, most of the stuff that I find out, I actually find on medical websites, or at least like the NIH. I mean, that's pretty much the cream of the crop when it comes to medical information on the internet. Or, I mean, WebMD, we know is a joke for the most part. I mean, it does get good information, but, like, it'll make you feel like you're dying every second of the day. Whatever. But I have my notes over here. I have them all organized so that I don't lose my place, so I don't ramble too much. Because, by now, if you've been watching me long enough, you know very well that I ramble. Usually it's about the topic, don't worry. Anyway, let's start. St. John's wort is a small flowering plant from the Hypericum genus with the specific scientific name Hypericum perforatum. It grows wild in Europe, but has since spread to the Americas, Russia, Asia, China, and Middle East. You might know St. John's wort by a different name, such as rosin rose, rosin rose, Rosin. I don't know. Goatweed, but it all pretty much the same plant. I think I might have listed in here other names for it. It may be a funny sounding name, but the benefits of this herb are no joke. The name of the plant was given because it blooms around June 24th, which is dead on to when it started blooming around my area. The birthday of John the Baptist, and the word wort is an old English term for a plant. It has been used for depression, chronic fatigue, hormonal imbalances. There's a ton. It's a hardy shrub that thrives in full sun to partial shade and prefers well-drained soil. It can be used as a ground cover, in mixed borders, or as an ornamental plant due to its bright yellow flowers and colorful berries. So we're going to start off talking about how it's an antidepressant, or at least used as one. It has been widely used to relieve symptoms of anxiety for generations. It is now a popular solution that doctors and psychiatrists often prescribe to their patients. I don't know any that do that. Do you? I mean, if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But they usually, in my experience and what I've heard, Here, have a pill. Here, have a pill. Here, have a pill. This isn't Candy Babies. It contains a rare combination of antidepressant chemicals that inhibit or delay the reuptake of certain neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. I said that word right. I was kind of excited about it. Anyway, it can treat heart palpitations, moodiness, symptoms of ADHD, obsessive compulsive disorder, seasonal affective disorder, and menopause. So, in a 2017 meta-analysis, including 27 clinical trials in over 3,800 patients, researchers concluded that St. John's wort was comparable in efficacy and safety to SSRIs. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but I do have it written down in here what an SSRI is, if you don't know. Studies show that St. John's wort seems to work as well as the selective serotonin reuptake. Yeah, there it is. Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. That's what SSRIs are. A popular type of antidepressant that doctors often prescribe for to treat depression, such as Prozac, Celexa, and Zoloft. I can just tell you, when I was younger and had my kids really little, and it was it wasn't easy. I enjoyed my kids. The other surrounding how it got my kids, the ex. I was very unhappy, and I went on multiple different antidepressants, and it actually made me worse, which I know is a thing that can happen. So, yeah, that's not for me. Started figuring out how to fix it based on my diet. I didn't know about herbs and stuff then. This was just a different part of my life that I didn't necessarily know about those things. And it wasn't too long after, probably a good 10 years, that I did learn about herbs and I started incorporating them into my life and learning more about them. But this is when I was really young, early 20s, having kids. And yeah, I was super unhealthy, super depressed, and I didn't know why. So I read something about diet can fix that, and I started fixing it based on that. Things just flowed better after that. There's a lot more to that story for another time, maybe. Anyway, it is known as Hypericum perforatum, as we said. And it has been known for its antidepressant and anti-inflammatory properties for over 2,000 years. The Greek physicians of the 1st century recommended the use of St. John's wort for its medicinal value, and the ancients believed that the plant had mystical and protective qualities. There was a study done at the Institute of Psychological Sciences in the United Kingdom, included 36 women aged 18 to 45, get ahead of myself. They had regular menstrual cycles and were diagnosed with mild PMS. It's like every woman. The women were randomly assigned to receive either St. John's wort tablets of 900 milligrams a day or identical placebo tablets for 2 menstrual cycles, so 2 months. The groups switched doses and the subsequent 2 cycles. They basically found that it eased their PMS symptoms. It basically kind of gave them just an uneven chill. It doesn't, it's not a downer. It's, it makes you feel better. That's what it does. But the study basically said that the women who didn't have the placebo, who had the actual St. John's wort tablets, felt better than the women with the placebos. Because it also relieves anxiety. The health benefits of St. John's wort they extend beyond the anxiety as they help people suffering from anxiety and mood swings by helping to regulate the hormonal balance in the body. St. John's wort can help restore the metabolism and internal clock, providing relief from sleeplessness, irritability, chronic fatigue. Eliminating chronic stress hormones from the body can also improve overall health and cognitive function. Right, because if we're sleeping, we think better. If we're less stressed, we think better. But it basically decreased excess stress hormones that can affect our whole body. As I said, it reduced the mood swings. And it can reduce the severity of cramping and PMS irritation. We'll talk about that. It's good for OCD. It's good for somatic symptom disorder. It causes severe anxiety and physical symptoms such as pain, weakness, and short of breath. That's basically anxiety or depression in itself. And it helps with all those things. It helps with the seasonal affective disorder, which I had never had in my entire life until this past year. I was like, wow, what's going on? Yeah, I had that this past winter, and I never want to have that again because I didn't like it. I go through depressive times. Everybody does, like when you feel sad, if something goes wrong or whatever. This was different. It was very different. I don't really know what I associated to, but I'd never had it before. Why in the world did I all of a sudden get it? I know this winter was pretty bad though, but all good. Figured it out. All better. The sun came out, although it's not out today. It's cloudy and on and off rain, and I miss the sunshine. So it can ease withdrawal symptoms as well. Early indications show that the use of St. John's wort can be beneficial in easing cravings and withdrawal symptoms after quitting cigarettes, alcohol, or addictive substances. This could prove very useful as recovery from addiction is challenging. I don't know, but they say that it is. However, they think that more research is still ongoing. Well, they always say that. That's what they have to say because they can't definitively tell us anything positive about herbs because that would mean that they would lose their jobs or at least not make as much money because that's how doctors make money is on pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceutical reps make a lot of money because doctors buy it from them and sell it to their patients. Here, have a pill. Here, have a pill. It's not my candy. So, as I said, it supports smoking cessation. A systematic review conducted in Canada found that St. John's wort may promote smoking cessation by alleviating tobacco withdrawal symptoms and decreasing adverse side effects through various mechanisms. Okay. It is antiviral, it is anti-inflammatory, it is antibiotic in a way. It's not a very strong antibiotic, I will tell you that much. If somebody said, hey, what are antibiotics in the herb world? I would not mention St. John's wort. It is technically excuse me, but it is not strong in that regard. It's antiviral. So I would put antiviral effects up with echinacea even maybe. So I would say, if you're looking for something that's antiviral to take, echinacea St. John's wort. Maybe we'll talk about it more because there is stuff still that I'm learning. All right, we'll get there. It is already known as an antidepressant, but St. John's wort has the active ingredients that also have substantial effects on hormone regulation. Hyperthyroidism is one of the most common thyroid disorders, and this herb has been shown to reduce its symptoms and help the thyroid gland release normal levels of hormones. Okay. thyroid issue is one that I do know that a lot of people suffer from, and it can help, but we're getting to that, I promise. So a substantial improvement in physiological and psychosomatic symptoms were observed, and menopausal complaints diminished or disappeared completely. In 76% of women, their sexual well-being also improved after treatment, displaying that St. John's wort uses include providing natural menopause relief. It is actually one of the most, or this says, it's one of the most recommended menopause supplements. I've never heard it used as that. But if you have, great, let me know. I don't know everything. I can't know everything. Um, I wish I had a photographic memory. That'd be cool. There's some things. Yes, that would be cool. The So we talked about it being anti-inflammatory. Um, alleviates pain associated with arthritis, gout, joint discomfort, muscle aches. Um, can help ease inflammation in the gut, even, which is huge. Lowers inflammation in the cardiovascular system, thereby helping lower blood pressure and decrease stress to the heart. It is good for skincare. Um, topical application in form of a salve or a tincture can speed up healing process of burns, bruises, scrapes, or stimulating the circulation of oxygenated blood to damaged skin cells. Its antibacterial properties are strong enough to fight chronic inflammation. But as I said, it's not like I would use it as a general antibiotic. Let's put it that way. It can help naturally treat eczema. So home remedy for burn relief, natural way to treat hemorrhoids. It shows its properties, its anti-inflammatory properties due to its inhibitory effect on pro-inflammatory genes like cyclooxygenase 2, interleukin 6, I don't know what all those are, the inducible nitrate oxide synthase. These genes play a critical role in chronic inflammation diseases. There you go. They're genes that they have isolated to know that this is what they do. And St. John's wort will impact those genes, diminishing chronic inflammatory diseases. There we go. Their extracts, they say, have been used for thousands of years to treat cuts and abrasions. It talks again about how it reduces inflammation and does serve as an antibacterial agent. Now, it will still work that way. It's just not what it wouldn't be my go-to. Like, if I was going to make a salve out of the St. John's wort, I'd probably mix it in with calendula, because it's a pain reliever. I'd mix it in with plantain. I would probably mix it with maybe a little bit of cayenne, or maybe some turmeric, definitely cayenne. Because all that's anti-inflammatory, antibacterial. Yes, oregano is too, I know, but you don't really, that's not something I would put in a salve to use as an antibacterial. I would make it a tincture and use it like for eardrops, or, you can drop it into your mouth as an oil or a tincture, because that is like a really good internal antibiotic. It just is. Antibiotic, antibacterial, and stuff like that. In a 2003 study conducted at the Department of Dermatology at the University Clinic in Freiburg, Germany, 18 patients with eczema were treated twice daily over 4 weeks. After the trial, the severity of the skin lesions improved at the treatment sites, and the skin tolerance and cosmetic acceptability were rated as good or excellent with the St. John's Wort topical cream. There you go. In a 2017 case study, St. John's Wort extract demonstrated significant efficacy in treating pressure sore wounds in intensive care unit patients. It's really hot in my office, I'm sorry. When applied to the skin, St. John's Wort is safe when used once a week for 4 weeks. It will, if you're using it topically, don't go out in the sun. Don't go out in the sun. It will actually cause your skin to be more sensitive to sun exposure. It is not in any sort of a way a sunscreen. If anything, it attracts the sun even more to your skin. So this is something that I wouldn't use in the summertime. I'm outside all the time. I would use it in the wintertime. But if it's something you actually needed, like whether you're taking it topically or internally, honestly, it will still, your skin will act negatively with sun exposure if you have St. John's Wort in your system in any way. So I would make sure you're protected. Sunscreen is not a protectant. If anything, it's worse. I gotta show you guys how to make my homemade sunscreen sometime. It has a shelf life. All sunscreen does. Even the stuff you buy in the store has a shelf life. Did you know that sunscreen that you buy in the store is only good for a year? Every year you have to buy a new bottle. Buy small ones. If you're buying them, buy small ones. Don't waste your money. But I know how to make them, and it works. It needs reapplied often, but it does work. So it has anti-cancer properties. It has been found by researchers to inhibit growth of tumor cells and can potentially treat both non-melanoma and melanoma skin cancers. It said the researchers suggest that it's an effective treatment. And data from a 2003 study done in Spain indicates that hyperforin which is a derivative of St. John's Wort, like it's just one of the compounds within it. It interferes with key events in angiogenesis, the formation of growth of cells. This confirms the recent and growing evidence regarding the potential role of this compound in exhibiting cancer and metastasizing. I don't know that word right now. Making it a promising candidate for further evaluation in the treatment of angiogenesis-related pathologies. So it reduces pregnancy pains. It does, because basically pregnancy pains are similar to PMS issues. Topical application of St. John Wort salves and paste is highly recommended for women suffering from pregnancy-related conditions. It's not recommended to take it internally during pregnancy at all. But they're talking about during pregnancy, women have hemorrhoids, stretched out skin, and all that kind of stuff is very painful when you're pregnant. So St. John's Wort salve would alleviate some of that pain. So there are interactions. There are side effects. There are things that St. John's Wort has more of than other herbs. We're going to get to that. We're going to talk about dosage first. So it takes a little bit for St. John's Wort to work. So you have to actually take take it consistently for it to work at all. It's just the way it is. It typically can take several weeks to a few months to feel the benefits of St. John's wort. So be patient and do not increase your dose without talking to somebody who knows what they're doing. It's not a fast-acting cure. No, herbs usually are. Some are, but not typical. It could take weeks or months to notice any effects. The standard dose range would be anywhere from 300 to 1200 milligrams a day. It's usually taken in divided doses like 300 milligrams 3 times a day or 600 milligrams twice a day. For kids, it's a little different. Never, ever, 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 ever give it to a kid under 6. They don't need it. You don't need it. They don't need it. Kids under 6 are not depressed. That's a little iffy of a statement, but generally they're not depressed unless they have a very good reason to be. It is usually their diet. Anyways, one study involving more than 100 kids under the age of 12 indicated that St. John's wort may be safe and effective ways for treating mild to moderate symptoms in children. But they specifically say don't use it on children under 6. They have to be carefully monitored for allergic reactions and side effects, diarrhea, upset stomach, and stuff like that. I just don't think it's necessary at all to give a child this herb. It's just, topically, okay, if they've got a burn or a bruise or a wound of some sort, yeah, that's different. Topically is different. I'm talking about internally. So for adult use, the typical dose is 300 milligrams 3 times a day with meals. And as I said, I don't really know any doctors, unless they're functional doctor, that prescribes these kinds of things. So that's for anxiety, for moderate depression, mild to moderate depression, severe depression. They say take 900 milligrams by mouth for 8 to 12 weeks. For psoriasis, you can use St. John's wort ointment 2 times daily on the skin for 4 weeks. For wound healing, use 20% St. John's wort and never use petroleum jelly. Please don't ever use that. You can make that on your own. Don't use it. It has bad stuff in it. It has so many fillers. Petroleum, don't use petroleum on you. That's what pharmaceuticals are made out of. I don't approve. But I'm not going to tell you officially what to do. No petroleum in our bodies. You can create an oil salve that's just as good, and you can put 20% St. John's wort in that. But anyways, that's on your skin 3 times daily for 16 days. For menopause symptoms, 300 milligrams once daily for 12 weeks. If you want PMS relief, 300 and 900 milligrams by mouth daily for 2 menstrual cycles. If somebody has IBS, they can take 450 milligrams twice daily for 12 weeks. For nerve pain, 300 to 900 micrograms of tablets by mouth for 2 treatment periods of 5 weeks each. For OCD, 450 to 900 milligrams by mouth daily for 12 weeks. Remember, we've talked about this in the past. Herbs are not designed to be taken every single day. They are designed to treat something that's going on. 12 weeks, you're done. 12 weeks, you're done. 12 weeks on, 12 weeks off, 12 weeks on, 6 weeks off. It just depends on your symptoms, what you're treating. It is not meant there are certain things you can take preventatively. St. John's Wort is not one of them. It says if you're actually taking it internally, you should never just come off of it. It's kind of like an antidepressant in that regard, that we don't want to just stop it because it could make things a whole lot worse. We want to wean ourselves off of it. So you can use it as a tea, you can use it as a tincture, and a skin cream, and an oil, just pretty much like everything else. So the interactions, these are the bigger ones. Taking St. John's Wort is not recommended for women who are pregnant or breastfeeding. It's most likely safe for children between the ages of 6 and 17, but they shouldn't take it for more than 8 weeks. There's your little disclaimer. So you cannot take St. John's Wort, and I will actually put this image right here, because it is a strong antidepressant, especially with the correct dosage. So it will interact with the majority of pharmaceuticals out there. So do not take if you have a bleeding disorder, a suicidal or if you're suicidal or severely depressed, if you have a weak immune system, if you take drugs for HIV or AIDS, if you have a weak nervous system, you have stomach or intestinal problems, if you have high cholesterol, don't take it. If you have seizures, cataracts, diabetes, prone swelling, don't. So the main concerns are the herb center, about the herb is centered on the metabolic pathway known as cytochrome P450. The pathway consists of the enzymes in our body that's used to clear drugs and ingested chemicals from the bloodstream. These enzymes are responsible for breaking down everything from the glass of wine you may have had with dinner to daily vitamins to keep your bones strong. Other substances can influence these enzymes. So if you have heard of grapefruit juice can interfere with medications, well, that's what St. John's Wort does. It's called enzyme induction. St. John's Wort, like grapefruit juice, induces the body to produce more of these enzymes to clear the chemical from the bloodstream faster. So basically, it's not going to interact as in like you'll die. It won't. But basically, it makes your pharmaceuticals not work. So it just turned off again. And I don't remember where I left off, because I don't think it recorded any of that. We talked about interactions and dosages. We talked about, I'm going to give you, I will post my notes on my website so you can see everything that I was trying to say. It interacts with basically all pharmaceuticals. Just, you cannot take St. John's Wort internally if you are on pharmaceuticals. Just don't even tempt it. If you have Alzheimer's, bipolar, severe depression, schizophrenia, if you just had surgery, don't take it before or after surgery for sure. It is likely safe when used in doses up to 900 milligrams daily for up to 12 weeks. I have taken it before. I did not feel like it helped me at all. Skull cap is the one that I just wrote down, and I feel like that works best. That's my opinions. We're not going to combine it with any sort of SSRIs or MAOIs, because it can elevate blood pressure and induce things like serotonin syndrome, and that's like confusion, fever, agitation, rapid heart rate, shivering, perspiration, diarrhea, and muscle spasms. I've never had that before. I don't know anybody who has. Let me know down below if you have. Yeah, it'll interact with antidepressants, contraceptives, anti-seizure medicines, anticoagulants. It'll interfere with anti-rejection medication, heart medication, and heart stuff for heart disease, HIV, and cancer. It's reduces the effectiveness of Xanax. Don't take it if you're taking pharmaceuticals. Now, that's only internally. You can take it topically. If you have sort of like skin issue, like your psoriasis, your eczema, cuts, wounds, bruises, stuff, you can use it topically. It's not going to hurt you, even if you're taking a pharmaceutical. But remember, it will make you sensitive. Remember that. That's pretty much what I covered. We were kind of talking about gardening. That's what I was getting into when the thing went bleep. Okay, so St. John's wort is considered an invasive plant. It just means that basically it can choke out beneficial plants and flowers. It doesn't mean that it'll like take over your entire garden. I mean, it would over a couple years, maybe like 10. But people just say, be aware of the fact that it will just keep on growing everywhere if you plant it. If you want it to grow everywhere, you're not kind of people. So it has a tendency to to spread and choke out other plants. So don't put it where you don't want it to do that. So I don't know who that is. I'll have to call them back, I guess, or they'll leave a message maybe. All right, sun-wise, it grows best in a combination of morning sunshine and afternoon shade. Too much afternoon sun will scorch the tender leaves, allowing too little sun. But if you let it have too little sun, it will have very few flowers. And partial shade is ideal for these lovely plants. It only needs to be accessible when you want to prune it or harvest it. It doesn't really need much care in between. Just does not have a sweet flower smell. You want to put it like in the outskirts of your property. I have perfect spaces for it in my yard. I just don't have the seeds for it yet because it does not grow wild in my yard. It's adaptable when it comes to watering and the amount of water the plant needs. It performs well in moist soil, but can adapt to drier soils, especially once it's well established. Adult plants can typically survive both droughts and floods. Young plants require consistent moisture until they're well established. A little watering during droughts will go a long way to keep the plants healthy. Take care not to overwater, as the plants will not grow well with consistent overwatering. Grows very well in containers, but it will require more watering if you grow it in a container. That's pretty standard. A light layer of, like they say mulch, but I don't really like mulch. Like if you do grass clippings, that would be good to help retain moisture. It grows really well in zones 5 through 10. So any of those zones it'll grow for you. It's not really picky on soil type. It will grow well in slightly acidic to slightly alkaline soils. It will grow in sandy, loamy, clay, or even rocky soil. Compost. So you can start it indoors 6 to 8 weeks before the last frost, and seeds will germinate well indoors. The plant itself will not thrive indoors, though. It likes to be outside. So you put your seeds in the soil. Don't cover them up. You just would press them into the soil rather than covering them up, and they'll germ more effectively with light. You can direct sow the tiny seeds in your garden by surface sowing, allowing sunlight to help them germinate. Surface sowing involves lightly pressing the seeds, like I said, into the soil without completely covering them. Do not sow the seeds until after the danger of frost has passed. You can soak them in warm water a few hours or overnight to get a head start on the germination. It usually takes 2 to 4 weeks for them to germinate. You can propagate with cuttings. Remove the leaves from the bottom half of the plant, dip into a root growth hormone. If possible, don't use rooting hormone from the store. Use honey. And the rawer the honey, the better, because that has a growth hormone in it. Same with aloe as well. Fresh aloe has a growth hormone as well. So you can use fresh aloe or you can use raw honey. Regular honey from the store will work too. It just won't be as effective as raw honey. I use honey all the time. I actually have just a jar specifically for my rooting hormone. Place the bottom half of the stem in the soil and keep it moist until the roots begin to grow. The cutting will thrive with some sunlight, but be cautious not to scorch it. In early spring, when plants are just beginning to grow, you can propagate St. John's wort by root division. You dig up the entire plant and split it in half, and then carefully replant it where you would like to grow more. Harvest St. John's wort typically in early summer, so right about now. Other herbs taste better when they're harvested before flowering, such as mint plants and stuff, but St. John's wort is more effective after it flowers. And the plants can be harvested by cuttings of the flowers, stalks, leaves from the plant. Approximately a third of the plant can be safely harvested at a time without damaging the plant. You can store it by hanging them upside down to dry. It usually takes like 7 to 10 days until they're completely dry. You can put them in a commercial dehydrator or a warm oven, like 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Store it airtight container in a dark location. Use it to make teas, tinctures, and oils. That is the lowdown on St. John's wort. I would like to start offering like an outside view. Like, I don't always have all the herbs that I talk about. I have a lot. But I don't have this one. I've bought it in pill form in the past, but I don't have it growing in my yard. I don't even own it. Because as I said, it didn't really work for me, but that doesn't mean it won't work for you. I would like to have access to at least the majority of them. How about this? If I have a plant, I'm going to, this in my brain, I'm going to start bringing the plant, whether it be fresh plant or herb, in to show you at the end of each video. Some things I won't be able to, and over the winter I definitely won't be able to. You know that, especially fresh stuff. But I want to offer more valuable content to you guys, and getting your feedback will really, 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 really help me understand what you guys would find beneficial. I want to do more shorts. I want to do more just short informational videos. I'd like to do series on, like, say, if you have eczema, this is all the stuff you can use and how to use it. I'd like to do stuff like that. I have ideas, but I need your help and participation. I would really greatly appreciate that. As again, I will put the links that I have gleaned information from down below in the description, as well as links to my website and Facebook page. Facebook is where we started, so that's why I still go there. Our Facebook group is we have a lot of participation, and I really, really like it there. starting to branch over into Instagram a little bit. It's not my favorite. Have some videos occasionally on TikTok, Blue Sky, Lemonade, Snapchat. Um, I share stories on there, even of just my life in general sometimes. Because, like, Saturday, my friend and I went to dinner cruise in Baltimore Harbor on the Spirit of Baltimore. It was so much fun. It was so hot, but it was awesome. And it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. But you'll see things like that on Snapchat if you join me over there. It's not called the Herbalist Garden over there. I don't remember what my name is on Snapchat. I'll figure it out and put it in the description. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for sticking around to the end. That means a lot to me. It helps the page a ton because I'm trying to grow. Let me know what you think about St. John's wort. Let me know some suggestions on future herbs. I know skullcap will be one of them. Talked about doing cleavers. Talked about doing garlic. We'll get there. We'll get there. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you coming and learning with me. Take care.